Welcome in, everybody, to Betting Pros. It's me, Joey P, Joe Pisapia, and today it's week 4 in college football. We're going to preview all the games for you, and of course, there's nobody to do that with better than the one, the only Scott Bogman right here from In This League. Of course, you can follow him on the Twitter machine at Bogman Sports. Bogman, it was an interesting week 3, a little bit of a close call there for Alabama, the juggernaut, so I will take the L on that one. Oh my goodness, that got a little too close for comfort. And a few other teams maybe we have to learn a little bit more about, but overall, a good week from you yet again. So, how was your week 3 for you, my friend?
Well, I was super annoyed week 3. I'll say that. You know, the Texas game wasn't fun. I mean, they did stomp Rice, but it's not a fun game against Rice. You know, Texas Tech always gives them problems, which, you know, hint, hint, that might be in the lanes this week. But I was annoyed because I was like, 5-5, ugh, you know, in my article. I'm like, that's just okay. And the late ones are the ones that killed me. It was BYU beating up ASU. ASU had 16 penalties to 3. That'll lose you every single game straight out. And UCLA, after beating LSU and stomping Hawaii and getting an extra week off to play Fresno State, lost straight up. I didn't understand any of that, but after looking at how well everybody else did, I went, all right, you know what? I'll take 5-5. 5-5 is okay on this weird week. So we're going to get back on track in week 4, and there's a lot of fun games to go through here, man.
All right, well, let's take a quick look around, too. What were your thoughts on Alabama just kind of eking out that victory against Florida?
Look, you know, it's kind of one of the realm of possibility things I put in there last week was that, look, I think Bama, they were in midseason form and Florida wasn't. And all that stuff, but Florida would probably just preparing for Alabama the first couple weeks, right? That's probably the only game they were focused on, which is why they didn't look good in the other games. We weren't really paying attention to who was in front of them. They're just looking forward to that game, and they played them hard. And there's a lot of talent in Florida, and Bama just wasn't at peak Bama. So you're going to get a close game when it comes down to that. And Bama is just—they're not going to every single year put up some historical number. And I think that's kind of what we were expecting after seeing LSU put up the best offensive team in NCAA history. And then Alabama go right over them, one up them the next season. We thought, okay, well, maybe Bama does it again and sets more records. No, it's not going to happen year after year after year. So Bama is still, I think it dropped them from 80 first place votes to 79. So that's all it dinged them, was 1 vote in the polls. So they're still the number 1 team, and they're probably still going to go undefeated, but they're a little more vulnerable than they were last year, which was not at all. So,
all right. Well, Bogman, I'm going to ask you this question. Who is BYU?
I wish I could cuss on this one. Yeah. if I know, Joe, I have no idea who BYU is, because I'm just going to go ahead and say that week 1 was the mirage, because I thought week 2 was the mirage. I thought maybe U of A got better. Maybe BYU got way worse without Zach Wilson, and they beat Utah. But once again, I didn't think Utah played well in that game. So I'm okay losing that game with the logic I used. I still think that my logic made sense. Obviously, the result wasn't there. But they did a whiteout and all that stuff. The crowd was insane for BYU, and it caused a bunch of penalties. There were many, many false starts for ASU, and Jaden Daniels just looked rattled in that game. So, you know, you go as far as your quarterback in 90% of football games, you know, and Jaden Daniels did not look right, threw a couple picks. So BYU might be pretty good. I'll just say that. Sataki's a great coach. That's what we know.
What about Miami? Are they any good? Is Michigan State any
good? Okay. Michigan State's good. That's what I'll say. Mel Tucker has got those guys playing. And I think someone said that as underdogs, under Mel Tucker, who came in there last year, they've won 4 games straight up as underdogs. Jim Harbaugh from Michigan has won 0 games straight up as underdogs for Michigan. Now, granted, they're underdogs way less than Michigan State is. Sure, so you have to give him a little bit of slack on that. But they haven't pulled out an upset victory once under Harbaugh, and Mel Tucker already has 4 for Michigan State. Run well and play good defense and have a quarterback that's not going to turn the ball over. that's what they're doing right now. And Miami, now we saw De'Aaron King's probably not going to play this week, so they're going to look real bad. They're just not a good team this year, it looks like.
Anything else from week 3 that caught your eye that you think is noteworthy before we turn the page and look ahead?
Not really. I just, I want to bury week 3 in a shallow grave. Let's go.
Right, well, let's
move on.
Let's move on. Let's go. We're on to Cincinnati. Let's go. All right, here we go. As always, we're going to talk about the national games, and here are the ones that Bogman has strong feelings for. All the feels, as the kids like to say. And let's start with LSU. That's 2.5-point favorites on the road at Mississippi State. Of course, 55.5 is the number. So your thoughts on this game here, Boggs?
This one, just for a full confession, I don't like Mike Leach at all. I don't like his all offense, no defense bit. I don't think that's ever going to work. He's been accused of being abusive towards the players. I don't like that. He made some questionable comments last season, which had a lot of his players transfer. I don't like him, and I never will. So with that on the table, I obviously am going to like LSU in this game. Mississippi State looked great against NC State, but bad against Louisiana Tech. They lost. They had a 1-point loss to Memphis last week, and it's not like LSU or Orgeron. It's not like I like them, but I'm going to take LSU at this point because I think they're going to be able to put points up on Mississippi State because anyone not named NC State apparently can. And I think I'm the most confident in the over. I think the over is kind of low here at 55.5. I think this is going to be a classic shootout. Mississippi State's going to score, but LSU can score. So I think it's going to be a shootout. And if it's only 2.5 points, I'm going to take LSU.
All right, let's move on to the next one here on the board. Texas A&M, 7th ranked, is 4.5-point favorites against Arkansas, ranked 16th. Now, Texas A&M did look better last week, but then again, that was New Mexico, so I don't know if you can really take too much of the New Mexico contest against A&M. I guess the question is, how good is that Aggies offense?
Not very is what I would say under Calzada. And this one's in Jarrett World in Dallas. So this is going to be at, what is it called now? AT&T? I just always call it Jerry World.
You know, man, I can't keep up with any of the naming of ballparks or stadiums anymore. I'm so old, I still call it like, whatever the original one was, whatever was called first. That's what I call everything now, especially in baseball where they change every year. It feels like I can't keep up. Like it's still Miller Park in my head.
Right. At Troy Aikman Field in Dallas. I think the Razorbacks are going to win this one straight up. And maybe I'm not giving A&M their credit, but like you said, they had one good offensive showing against New Mexico. New Mexico's not a very good team. They're getting 1.5 points against UTEP this week. So, which my guy Nick likes, but that game is terrible. That will be on no TVs, as it should be, outside of El Paso and New Mexico. But I like the Razorbacks straight up. They're 8th in the country in rushing. They're getting 282 yards per game right now. Arkansas is. We saw them dominate Texas with the run game, and I think Texas A&M's defense is way better than Texas. Don't get me wrong there, but I think this is going to turn into a slugfest. And when it comes down to that, I'm going to go with their veteran quarterback Jefferson over Calzada, who is starting his 3rd game for the Aggies. So I think, it's a huge nationally televised game for both these teams. I think this one is a game that can absolutely put Arkansas back on the map as far as national contention. So I like the Razorbacks to come away with a win here.
The team that plays about 20 minutes from my house, Rutgers Scarlet Knights, taking on Michigan. Michigan obviously ranked 19th. They are favored by 18.5. That's a pretty big number. I guess the question is this. Is this going to look more like the game where they push into overtime last year, or more like the 52-0 drubbing from 2019? I mean, Shiano certainly has come back and made Rutgers at least more respectable than they were in a few years leading up to that. But where is Rutgers right now? And is this a potential trap a bit when it comes to this Michigan number at 18.5?
I think it is. And just the overwhelming, bets are on Rutgers right now because this number is big. So I think you're going to be able to, I think my favorite thing here is the over 52 instead of the 18.5, because what I think you're going to have here is a Michigan team that has put up points. They have put up points. They're number 1 in rushing, 350 yards per game. is what Michigan is averaging right now. And they played Washington in there, and we all know Washington is not what we expected them to be coming into the season, but they're a team that should not be giving up an absurd amount of rushing yards. And this is just what Michigan is averaging. And they've actually put together, Blake Corum, you can actually use in college fantasy football at this point, because my argument against why I dislike Michigan on all fronts is because I can't stand Jim Harbaugh. They use too many different offensive players and they never throw the ball, and they use 14 different backs. Blake Corum is actually getting the majority of the work for Michigan right now. So I think they roll this one. I'm with you. I do respect Shiano. I just don't think he's going to be able to do it this quickly. And I don't think this is a weird COVID year where, both teams get to practice less and all that stuff, and we go into overtime. Michigan looks sharp right now. I think my favorite is the over, but if I'm betting on that spread, I'm going to definitely be taking Michigan and giving the points.
Tennessee goes to Florida. Florida ranked 11th right now. They are favored in this game by 18.5. The over-under is 62. Boggs, is this a letdown game potentially for Florida? Because obviously a very emotional contest last week, coming close and maybe arguably should have beaten Alabama. But is there a bit of a letdown here for Florida in this game, and is there money to be made off of it?
Well, I'll tell you what, the betting public for sure thinks that it is. 90% of money is on Tennessee right now, which is unbelievable to me. So because I look at this line and I go, man, Florida just almost beat Alabama. I thought it was going to be at least 20 points. Well, it opened at 20, and it has since slid to 18.5. So what I'm doing is I am waiting until Saturday morning to bet this game at the best line I can, because if more money is going to come in on Tennessee, this could shrink all the way down to, 15, 16 points here. So I'm going to wait and take Florida, but Florida, it's happened to Florida so many times. Florida was ranked 6th last year and only beat Tennessee by 12. They've had plenty of games where they're the 4th ranked team in the nation. Like this, sometimes Tennessee, it seems to me, this is the only important game on their schedule, is we want to play Florida hard. They still lose most of the time, but I'm going to wait till the end of the week, and I'm going to take Florida because I think if you're Florida, you can't be let down by barely losing to Alabama. You have to be inspired by barely losing to Bama, and you have to go out there and thump Tennessee, because now you have to have big wins on that schedule to make the tournament. So for Florida, I think they're going to go out there and I think they're going to rock them. I think it's going to be a tough one for Tennessee, but they seem to climb into this one when you least expect them. But I'm pretty confident on Florida here.
4th ranked Oklahoma is favored by 17 over West Virginia University. The number for this one is 56. 17 is the spread. Do you think this is a comfortable number here for Oklahoma?
No, I don't know how you could be comfortable with Oklahoma. And the betting public is, and I understand that. And look, we saw West Virginia lose to Maryland week 1. That's understandable why people are on Oklahoma here, and they're at home. But we saw Oklahoma go toe-to-toe with Tulane. They just barely beat Nebraska last week. At any point, Oklahoma can turn on. They're the more talented team. I don't think there's any arguing about that. But with West Virginia beating Virginia Tech, who looks strong, came out and beat UNC week 1 and all that stuff. I know we can't keep doing transitive properties and all that stuff, but I think I'm most confident in the over 56 in this game, just because of the way Oklahoma's defense has been playing. Sure, they stopped Nebraska last week, but Illinois stopped Nebraska, so it's not like that is an insurmountable feat to stop Nebraska's offense that has been bad for 4 years. West Virginia is going to go out there and put points up on the board. I just don't know how, when you see what Oklahoma's defense is playing like right now, you can have any confidence in them. So I like the points for West Virginia. I like the over in this game. I think it's going to go toe-to-toe for a shootout. Austin Kendall, quarterback for West Virginia, is a transfer from Oklahoma. He wants to go in there and get some revenge. So let's see what WVU has. I'm going to take them in this game.
The last time I had to worry about transitive properties, I'm pretty sure I had a trapper keeper.
Just so that's right.
Out. Yeah, pretty sure.
Was it the one that Bill Cosby had and came back?
No,
in time from?
It was not the one from South Park that that guy had. No, it was definitely not. But trying to remember if it had like a character or something on it. Probably not. Probably by middle school, it's like, no, you can't do the character ones.
Those always had shapes on them. They had like weird.
Yeah, they had like designs or like space and things
We're
like that.
About the same age. Yeah, I think I might have got yours in a hand-me-down. So
yeah, probably. By the way, that reminds me, there's a bunch of stuff in my house you got to pick up. Last
Oh,
game
okay,
here
good.
on the likes: Arizona at Oregon. Oregon ranked third in the nation. Oregon a massive favorite in this game, 28.5 points. My goodness, 58.5 is the number. So that's a whole lot of points, Boggs. Do you feel safe here with Oregon and Arizona?
It's not enough points. Oregon by 50. U of A has only gotten worse since that BYU game. They just lost to Northern Arizona. I have a friend that my guy Chad, who is a huge U of A guy, just a Tucson guy, loves it there. He texts me after that game, a new all-time low. When you lose to Northern Arizona, it is rough in the streets, an FCS school. I like the over in this game. I think this is, and that was what I was most accurate on last week was over-unders, opposite of my NFL calls. But Oregon, I think, is going to get the majority of this 58.5. 92% of money is on Oregon right now. So I like Oregon. I like the over in this game. I expect this to be like a, 49-14 game, something like that. So, at that point, you're winning by 35 and you're hitting the over. I think that's easy money.
All right, so those are the likes. Now let's go to the leans. These are the games that Bogman has less strong feelings about, but still, we're not going to let you down. We're still going to talk about them and break them down a little bit, see if we can find some things that we maybe like a little bit. But let's start with Marshall at Appalachian State. This is not the game that I thought we'd be talking about today, Boggs.
It's a Thursday game.
It's a Thursday game. Appalachian State -7. The 60 number is the over-under. Your thoughts on this contest?
Yeah, we're only talking about it because it's the only game on Thursday, so it is nationally televised.
Yeah, but still.
Actually, I think there are 4 games, but this is the only nationally
televised. Still, I don't know how
game.
many times Appalachian State we're going to talk about this year, but
well, look, we just talked about them last week because they almost beat Miami.
That's right, we
so,
did actually.
They're a strong. App State is usually the strongest G5 team, one of the stronger G5 teams, but I like Marshall plus the points in this one. I'm a little confused on why with so much confidence on the under. 83% of people are betting the under right now. This game isn't closer to 50-50 because the line is small. It's just a touchdown. So Marshall hasn't played a defense anywhere close to App State, but they've put up 40 points in every game. I think this is going to be a point-for-point game. This could come down to the last team with the football. So if it's going to be that close and it's going to be low scoring, as the betting public seems to think it's going to be, then I think I got to take the team getting the points, and I like what Marshall's been doing so far. Now, they did lose to ECU last week, which was a terrible game, but they let up 3 touchdowns in the last 7 minutes. So they were comfortably leading most of that game. So I do still think they're the better team. They just choked it at the end.
If Superman's weakness is kryptonite, then Bogman's is certainly the gold helmet of Notre Dame. Notre Dame ranked 12th, -6.5 right now, favored against Wisconsin, ranked number 18. This game's going to be played at Soldier Field. So, Boggs, you want to take a shot this week at Notre Dame or just run the other direction?
Okay.
That says it all.
So this one has confused me because I thought the line was moving. I was reading the wrong thing. But for me, I'm going to end up taking the under in this game is what I'm going to do here. I don't want to touch
47.5. So that's where you're going to go, the under on the 47.5.
I'll go the under because look, Wisconsin should run the ball all over Notre Dame. Right. And Notre Dame can play offense, but they can play a little defense too. I haven't been able to get them right. So I'm not going to touch the line, especially with Wisco giving the 6 points. I'm going to take the under in this game, and then after that, I'm going to run away from it. You're right.
Fair enough. All right, Boise State, 9.5 point favorites at Utah State. The over-under is 69.5. Do you have any leans on this one?
When I look at this line, it really seems to me like Boise State is going to be a bit underrated, but they are 1-2. But the 2 losses are against UCF and Oklahoma State, which are some tough teams. I think they're the better overall squad, but Blake Anderson has those guys at Utah State playing some really good offense and all. Like, there are 2 games this week that bother me because my gut tells me one thing, but the betting public heavily tells me the other thing. This is one of them. 90% of money right now on Utah State. So that's why when I feel like, okay, Boise State 9.5, that seems like a pretty good line. They could win by 2 touchdowns. And then I see most of the money on Utah State. I go, I must be missing something. So that one kind of takes me out of it. I'm going to I'll take Boise State, but not with any confidence. I will be putting $0 on that game this week.
All right, so we hit Bogman in the gut. Let's hit him in the heart here. Texas Tech at Texas. Texas 7.5-point favorites. The number is 60.5 here on this one.
This is easy. You got to take Texas Tech in this game. I mean, being a Texas fan,
to cover or to win outright.
Either.
Wow.
Look, I think Texas should win. Texas is a more talented team, but we just talked about what happens when Tennessee plays Florida, right? So when Tennessee plays Florida, they get up to play that game every single year. They are never a better team than Florida, but they will beat them on occasion, and they will beat the spread almost every time because they play them hard. Texas Tech, Texas is their Super Bowl every single year. It took Texas with Sam Ehlinger, their 4-year starter last year, an onside kick and a blown call in overtime to beat Texas Tech. So they should have lost last season. I think going into this game, I'm more confident with Casey Thompson as a quarterback than I was with Hudson Card. I'll say I'm probably way more into the over 60.5 in this game than I am anything else. But I think if I'm getting points for Texas Tech, that's what I'm going to do. But the talent and everything in my head says go with Texas. They're the better team. But Texas Tech plays them tough every single season, man. It's always a tough game. Remember Michael Crabtree? That was Texas Tech, So I remember where I was. When that.
Do you remember what was on your Trapper Keeper, though? That's the question.
Well, I didn't have a Trapper Keeper, Joe. I had a 5-star.
Oh, well, not all of us grew up in the fancy neighborhood in Arizona. Right. Some of us were slumming it with Trapper Keepers.
That's right. No Velcro for me. I had a zipper, son. All right. With my
the worst thing is when you'd pull the Velcro thing and the piece that was supposed to be attached to the other part came off with it. And then you're like, well, now it's not going to work ever. And then it never closed again.
You try to glue it. It doesn't work.
I know that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's real first world problems right there. Last one here, Iowa State. Iowa State ranked 14th in the nation, taking on Baylor. The over-under is 47. Iowa State is favored by 7 in this game. I'm surprised there's no half either way, but you got a strong 7 there. That's the thing that gives me pause there. So your thoughts on Iowa State?
Look, this is another one, along with that Boise State one, although this one is way worse for me because I look at this game and I go, I mean, this is Iowa State in a walk, isn't it? But there's something I don't know because the betting public is on Baylor a little bit more. I think I wrote Iowa State, but I meant Baylor.
And they're on the under, too.
Yeah, and they're on the under. So my gut says Iowa State wins this one in a romp. But everyone I know and trust, everything I look at, and I went through a bunch of them. My guy Nick over at CFP Winning Edge, he's taken Baylor, too. And I don't understand why. There is a little history here. They went into Ames and played Iowa State real tough last year. And I feel like Baylor's a better team than they were last year. But I just think that Iowa State has kind of been asleep at the wheel so far this year. And maybe that's what people are thinking. But I think they're going to wake up to play Baylor. So I think they went in a rump, but everything I look says Baylor. So I'm just going to stay away from this game.
All right, there you have it. Make sure you get all of your lines, too, from bettingpros.com. Head over to BettingPros right now. Of course, check out Bogman's latest work there. And you can also check out all the different lines from all the different houses. That's what BettingPros is all about. It allows you to go make the best wager you possibly can at the best place to get the best odds that you want. That is the beauty of BettingPros. Anything else here, Boggs, that you got your eye on here for Week 4 before we call it a day?
No, I'm excited to see.
Well, you can't say no and then say something. Dan Harris used to do this to me every show. I'd say any final thoughts, he'd say no, and then he would say a final thought. So give me an actual final thought.
Well, look, I like Springer. Dan, so Dan and I are going to be on the same page here. No, but I'm looking forward to a lot of these games. I want to see I want to see if my gut is right on some of these games or if the betting public is right. Of course, you always want to see if you're smarter than everybody else, right? But I'm really interested to see how Florida bounces back after that loss. They can't play it. You can't be in national title contention with a loss and then another loss to Tennessee. So I think they should come out and pound Tennessee, but like Texas Tech and Texas, Tennessee gets up to play Florida. So I think I'm most excited to watch that game this week. And Arkansas. Can Arkansas they will put themselves on the national map if they beat Texas A&M, and I would love to see it. So let's go, Arkansas.
I know you would, but I think you're right. That Florida-Tennessee game, that's the one to to keep a close eye on and see if there is that letdown, which is inevitable when you have to get up to play a team like Alabama and then turn it around like that. But alas, that's why they play the game. So we'll be back again next week to do it all again. In the meantime, you can follow us on Twitter, of course, at BettingPros NFL, and check him out at Bogman Sports. That'll do for us, but the story of the game goes on. For Scott Bogman, I'm Joey P. We will see you next time, kids.